Welcome to inspireWord, everyone. We have a really special guest tonight. Tonight we have Jason Evert joining us, and we want to thank him for his time and coming on. Arguably, by many, not everyone would believe, one of the best youth speakers, not only nationwide but worldwide. First, we want to always thank our sponsors: Catholic Order of Foresters, Solidarity Health Share, and Charity Mobile, the pro-life mobile company, for helping us bring these awesome messages to your living room. If this is the first time you're joining us, inspireWord, inspireWord.com. Please go and join our mailing list. You can see so many different conversations with faith-based leaders like Jason. We post it right there on the website. It's almost like a Netflix for Catholics, where you can go and get inspired and be invited into behind the scenes into their own homes and have conversations. So without further ado, we're going to invite Jason in. Jason, welcome to inspireWord, and thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's good to be with you today.
Wonderful. Well, we might be having some internet connection problems tonight. I'll let you know if anything breaks up. But again, for the few people that may not know who you are, you're by far one of the most leading youth speakers across the world on the topics of chastity and purity and many other things. You're an author. You now own you're in the press business. Maybe it's a publishing company. I want to talk to you about that. Your wonderful wife. We'll talk about Kristalina. I think you're up to 10 books plus these days. We want to find out what you're doing. But first, take us back to your childhood. Kind of give us a background of who you are, your family, and then we'll move into how you ended up doing this type of work.
Yeah, well, thanks. We were raised in a good, solid Catholic family by loving parents, blessed to have grandparents that were married for, I think, 66 years, then I think like 72-year marriages. So just a real legacy of couples that stuck together through thick and thin, which has been a real blessing. Raised in a Catholic home, which pretty much consisted of, Sunday Mass, grace before meals, and just trying to follow Christian values. And then I think my conversion really started to take root mostly in high school. Our parish was the second one ever to have Life Teen. And so it was right on the ground level of that movement as it was getting established, and was just blessed to have a solid parish and a dynamic youth minister who wasn't just doing the little game shows and goofing off. I mean, he had that stuff, but there was substance to it. I mean, weekly rosary before the Blessed Sacrament and just solid catechesis. And from that Life Teen, ended up discovering Franciscan University of Steubenville, where I think is where more of the intellectual and deeper spiritual formation was able to take place.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I have to publicly thank you, because I told you this when we first got connected, but because of you, my sister Christina, I'm one of 6. My middle sister Christina, who you've met once or twice throughout your guys talking and probably meeting on the road, you inspired her so much in her youth, when she was in college. And, when we're in college, folks have the chance to make good or bad decisions, and that really ends up helping you form those decisions later in life. So really, it's really fun for me to tell you this because of how you affected, and your message and your speaking affected my sister Christina. She was really the inspiration to me trying to work with her, which now has become CatholicSpeakers.com, the largest Catholic speakers network in the world. So had it not been for your message to start, to inspire her to become who she is, so I just want to thank you for that. I don't know if you've ever been told that or not, but you played a part in the Condon family with all the work you've been doing.
No, it's a blessing to hear that. I think we're all kind of like dominoes. I may have tipped her, but John Paul II tipped me, and someone else. We're all just in this big chain of people just trying to say yes and get out of the way.
Right. Well. Listen, there's a lot of I'm sure a lot of event organizers watching who know who you are, but kind of talk to us. Why chastity? Why purity? Where did that come from for you? Was it a personal choice? Was it an experience you had? Or was it something you just latched onto and felt it was one of the more important challenges that us young people face?
Yeah, a couple factors played in. One, when I was at Franciscan University, I led a bunch of high school retreats, and the kids really opened up to me about the struggles they had in this area. They just didn't have any guidance. And the same time, I was doing sidewalk counseling, and did 3 years of that in front of an abortion clinic, and just started to feel late. Why am I meeting this woman for the first time when she's having an abortion in 45 minutes? Why could I not have met her when she was 15 or 16? And maybe if she learned about chastity, she never would have dated that guy to begin with and be in this difficult situation. So I realized to save the most unborn babies, you got to swim upstream. So all that played a big role while I was learning John Paul II's love and responsibility, and began seeing that as the antidote to so much of this hurt and confusion. I got hired after college to work for Catholic Answers to do apologetics. But I realized, what our Lord said is, blessed are the pure in heart, they're going to see God. Airtight biblical argument for purgatory or the papacy or whatever. But if a person's not pure in heart, the rest doesn't matter to them. They're not going to be able to see God. And so to me, this was the pivotal point of evangelization. If we can get them to trust God with their bodies and with their sexuality, they'll entrust him with their souls as well.
It's so true. Jason, now that we represent, and we have the fortune now of working with you in the future, we're going to try and break out your message to a lot of different areas, trying to utilize our network for that. But we represent over 400 diocesan approved Catholic speakers. And we've had some speakers come to us and say, I've just surpassed this time where I just cannot relate to high schoolers anymore. I don't feel like my message is really resonating with high schoolers and college students. You literally go and target, in my opinion, the hardest target audience to public speak to. Can you talk about that? Like when it comes to relating to these kids, especially staying with the times, and not that they're children, I don't call them kids to be called kids. I just call them they're younger, and the social media craze. Could you talk about that? Like, what do you say to these teens, these young adults in college that are dealing with social media and internet, situations that you and I never really had to deal with when we were in high school?
Yeah, I mean, I'd honestly have to beg to differ. I don't think I've got the hardest crowd. I think I have the easiest crowd. To me, giving these kids a chastity talk is like giving out filet mignons in Somalia to people who haven't had a full meal in years, because their hearts are made for love, their minds are made for the truth. Chastity gives them both. It was Steve Jobs of Apple who once said, people do not know what they want until you show it to them. And I don't think anywhere that's more true than when it comes to chastity, because they hear the term, it's like this prudish, repressive, puritanical idea. But then when they realize this is the virtue that frees me to love, this is the virtue that frees me to know if I'm authentically being loved. And so thanks be to God, I haven't experienced that in our ministry. People thought, well, once you get married, kid's going to really listen to you. Once you start having kids, are these teens going to really listen to you? And I've found that the teens only relate to us more and more as we deepen this ministry. And I look at John Paul II. I mean, who's the best youth minister of the last century? It was some 84-year-old Polish priest, John Paul II, because his heart was young and he was loving and he was authentic and he was uncompromising with them. One priest said that he was happy and demanding. And the young people loved that combo, and they saw he was an authentic man, calling them to real love, and that's why they were so drawn to him.
In today's culture, and I don't pick on this family by any means, but it'll ring well with everyone. Everyone knows who they are. It's the Kardashian culture. God bless them, but they're in the forefront. Let's just be honest, of Hollywood. And in this culture where Hollywood, for instance, tells these kids how to act, how to live, and what will make you happy, which is complete opposite of Christian teaching. How do you attack that? So when someone comes to one of your talks, let's say, what do you hope they walk away with that actually is going to change their life? What can they expect to maybe come and learn and walk away with to help them practice to be better at, one of them, in my opinion, one of the hardest challenges of our life, which is, that of the sexuality.
Yeah, I think teenagers have an exceptional ability to sniff out something that's bogus. And they know deep down, Hollywood, I mean, they look at the marriages that last 36 hours and the divorce and imploded. I mean, they know it's a clown show and that there's a lot of broken people in that industry. But they're marinated in that culture, which makes them think, okay, well, I'm the odd man out if I'm not living like that. But, I just tell them, like, think of the people that you have the most perfect bodies, like Hollywood superstars, like, do they have perfect relationships? No. I mean, sometimes the most people with perfect bodies have the most broken relationships. And I say, think of the people that have the most beautiful, loving relationships. They don't have perfect bodies. They're probably like 87-year-old, overweight, wrinkly, but they got love, because a perfect body does not get you perfect love. And kids resonate with it. They understand, like, yeah, that makes sense. This whole Kardashian type of thing, it's bogus. It's not what I really want. It's all this glitter and glam, but like it's shallow. It's superficial. There's nothing sacrificial or challenging that's inviting me to be a saint. And so I think the young people, they gravitate towards a challenge in this generation that's telling them to just go with the flow.
Right. Well, we're going to take a quick left turn here for a question that I just saw coming through one of our chat rooms, which is really good. I'm going to try and paraphrase it. It's from Terry M. in Toronto, and she saw you speak and would like to ask you, thought you were one of the best on the hot topic social issues, would like to ask you, how can you lovingly reply to topics of homosexuality and birth control and explain it in a way that sounds loving and not accusing? Thank you for that question, which I can't wait to hear. And hey, Jason, we might as well just start with some softball, easy ones for you here.
Yeah. And as long as we've got an hour and a half left in the program, I think we're good to go on both of those. So let's just start with contraception. You don't want to really go after trying to convince someone of the church's teachings unless you know why they're against it. Maybe they think, well, NFP, isn't that just Catholic contraception? Or that's not really effective. That fails 30% of the time. Or, well, if we don't give out condoms, there's going to be AIDS all over. So there could be a variety of reasons they oppose this, and you want to listen to them first. It's not first, what's my perfect argument? It's like, let me make this person feel heard so I know where they're coming from on this. So step one is listen. Then you'll know where they're coming from on this. They might think, well, I'm in favor of it, because I have polyamorous, and if the church is opposed to birth control, they're opposed to me being healthy. And it's like, okay, wait, let's unravel some of these misconceptions here. But if I've got an elevator speech to give against contraception and in favor of natural family planning, I'll just say, look, NFP taught me that my wife's body is perfect. She doesn't need pills. She doesn't need shots. She doesn't need drugs. What she needs is to be understood. And if we can understand her fertility, then instead of suppressing her body with chemicals and barriers to conform to our sexual desires, well, we just conform our desires to the perfect way that her body has already been created. This is real sexual liberation. And honestly, if NFP is healthier for my wife's body than contraception, well, then I don't need your theological arguments. If it's best for her body, then that's the choice we're making. And so it's out of love. It's a beautiful thing, because you can argue with truth, you can argue with goodness, can't argue with beauty. It's a more beautiful approach to God's plan for human love. It's more effective. Couples who use it have a divorce rate under 4%. Church is onto something. And if you want to dig deeper on that, I'd recommend going to chastity.com. We got a lot of info there. For the same-sex attraction issue, a couple things you want to hit on. One is the identity piece. Gay is not who you are any more than straight is my identity. Your identity is not your sexual attractions. Your identity is your beloved son or daughter of God the Most High. We need to go after the identity piece, because if you think your attractions, your identity is your attractions, you'll think that you have to live that out in order to be fulfilled. So to help someone unpack that, if you simply go to YouTube and you type in Jason Evert, homosexuality, the top two videos, one is an hour-and-a-half talk I did on this. The other one, it's got 250,000 views, is just a little 10-minute talk I did on homosexuality, on gay marriage, on things like that. Just type in Jason Evert, homosexuality, Catholic Church. These videos will pop up. Watch those and share them with your friends. Go to chastity.com, click the videos there, and we've got great video blogs from experiencing these attractions and choose to live a life of chastity, and they're very happy people. And they share their videos and their blogs. People need to see that. It's not gay pride or gay shame are the only choices in life. Chastity is a real option, and people who are living it are genuinely happy.
It's beautifully said. If you're just tuning in, as we've seen the count ticker go up, we're sitting and talking with Jason Evert tonight. He's so kind and generous to invite us all into his own home. We got him behind the scenes, just kind of talking candidly about his career and what he's been through and his ideas and on different topics in the church's teachings as he relates those. We also are going to post a lot of links that Jason is mentioning tonight on inspireWord.com, so you can access all the resources this man has literally built his life toward till today, really building to supply these awesome resources when it comes to chastity and purity for the rest of the world. Jason, let's talk about Kristalina, probably the most important person in your life, a little bit. Where did you guys meet? And talk to us a little bit about your courtship and how you guys decided to date.
Yeah, well, we met actually in the Bahamas of all places.
That's
I
terrible.
was flying home from a pilgrimage in Israel, and I had my next gig was in the Bahamas. I was invited to do a 5-day conference in the Bahamas to train people who wanted to be international chastity speakers and leaders. They came from different countries, and I need more of those gigs on the calendar. Those 5-day Bahama conferences, but haven't had one since. And we met there and just kind of hit it off as friends. And then she went back to Denver and I went back to San Diego. And we kind of just had a long distance friendship thing going on. And then one day, she came out to visit me and I said, hey, I got a high school chastity talk to give tomorrow. Do you want to get on stage and just do a little 5-minute testimony? And she's like, well, I don't know. I've never done a chastity talk before. I'm like, oh, I think you'd really be good. And she got up there, just gave her witness for 5 minutes, and she just knocked them dead. And the kids came up afterwards hugging her and crying and dumping their boyfriends. And I was like, hey, we'd be a pretty good team doing this. And so we started speaking as friends, as a dating couple, and then eventually engaged. And she still travels with me on occasion, but typically more for the mega events. And then typically she stays home and runs her Women Made New podcast now, except for the times that she comes with me on the road at times.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's talking about your wife and talking about the success. And now that you guys are married, and I apologize, I should know this. How many kids do you guys have?
8
now?
8 little kiddos.
You look way younger than I do. It almost is like you almost probably get mistaken for one of your kids. I don't know if that's.
Oh no, it's all the cardio chasing them around the house every day. So
that's great. Well, Jason, you're walking the walk, and it's inspiration. Let me ask you this, because there's a couple of different questions I'm trying to field. I'm just going to paraphrase and look at. If there was a book you could suggest to a beginner as in someone that is just coming to the realization that they may be challenged, or like the rest of us, being attracted to the opposite sex has always been a challenge for everybody. It's just human nature. What book that you've written would you recommend to them to start, like for a beginner, and then for someone that may be addicted to whatever it may be, in case kids are watching, you can just, what we're trying to say there. What would be the book that you've written that you think would be the closest to help both?
For a real simple introduction to chastity, we wrote the booklet Pure Love. We have a guy's version called Pure Manhood and a girl's little version called Pure Womanhood. And they're little 50-page introductions to this lifestyle of chastity. So Pure Manhood and Pure Womanhood. If you'd want to go deeper, the thicker book I'd recommend, which is more than a booklet, would be for the girls, would be How to Find Your Soulmate Without Losing Your Soul, and Blueprint. Blueprint of how to break free from stuff like pornography. If it's a girl struggling with pornography, we recently published one by Kelsey Skoke called Uncompromising Purity, that it's not just a guy problem. And that addresses struggling with pornography, masturbation for the girls, because lust is not a guy issue. It's a human issue. And so those are some resources. If someone would prefer more of a CD to listen to or an MP3, we have a CD called Porn Detox on how to break free from porn.
I think those are the silent killers when it comes to addiction. I think a lot of experts would also agree, or you think of drugs, maybe whatever substance, just name one. But I think there's a silent killer, and that's the this topic that you're attacking. So Jason, how have you guys been, your family, with 8 kids? How have you been spending the quarantine? And give us one thing. We always like to ask our guests, one thing you've learned spiritually with your family, and one thing maybe funny or more of a secular thing that you've learned with the family now being hunkered down together.
Yeah, no, it's been bonkers. I mean, people say, oh, the social isolation. I'm like, give me some isolation. I could go for some isolation because, when you're, locked down, and now we got the curfew in effect now in Arizona, where you can't be out after 8:00 at night, on top of the, COVID-19 thing.
Is that earlier?
It's definitely been a challenge.
Is that earlier than your kids' bedtime?
Oh yeah, way earlier, unfortunately. So, so one thing is we've had to think outside the box. Like, we can't just be locked down. So we've been taking the kids. I've been taking them every week up into the mountains, and we just, they like to go rock hunting. So I just say, okay, well, what do you want to find? You want to find some amethyst or some crystals or some gold? And they're like, oh, we want to find gold. So, I do an internet search, do some research, and find a river where you can go gold panning. We got some pans, prospector equipment. and we went up in a river and we actually found actual gold with the kids, one afternoon. And so just taking them out into God's country and just letting them experience the beauty. And every weekend we're going somewhere different. You just kind of get on your phone, hey Siri, search the web for, dangerous abandoned mine shafts for children, and then you find some good place to go to and dig up stuff with the kids. That's been a real blessing to just get out, enjoy nature, because they tell you to stay home and then you just want to get out in the wilderness, and then they tell you to go explore the outdoors and everybody stays home on their screens. So we've been just trying to get out and enjoy the beauty of what God created.
That's I hope that carries on. I see a lot of couples walking now all over the neighborhood, and I hope they continue to do that as a practice, because it's something we all haven't done before that when life was normal. I think one of the many practices, of course, praying more together is something that we all should do. Mm-hmm. Jason, the whole point of inspireWord, and we're coming down to the last 5 minutes, is to help families get motivational ideas and inspiration from faith-based leaders like yourself. What would you say to families and teens even, and young professionals, young adults on maybe share, even better, could you share a personal story that you have that there was no light at the end of the tunnel and you had to overcome it? How did you overcome it? Was prayer involved? Just whatever comes to mind. That would be wonderful to share with our viewers.
One thought that's just coming to me lately, just in prayer, is that when we're suffering, the question that we typically ask is, God, why are you so far away? Why, like you read the psalmist, like, why are you not hearing my cries? Why are you not listening? This describe abandonment. But I think we're asking the completely wrong question. When it comes to Jesus Christ crucified, the question is not, why are you so far away? It's, why are you so close? Why, Jesus crucified, are you visiting me in such an intimate way, whereby when I pray the Psalms, they not only feel like the prayer that you spoke from the cross, they feel like they're coming straight out of my own heart. Why are you visiting so close? Like Mother Teresa was visiting a sick man who's dying, and he was like, why has God let me do this and suffer like this? And Mother Teresa said, well, you're so close to the cross that Jesus can kneel that, like, lean off the cross and kiss you. You're so close to Jesus. All this suffering is Jesus kissing you. And he said, Mother, please tell Jesus to stop kissing me. And so I just want to invite people to think it's not a matter of God being so far away, and that's why we're suffering. God has come so close to you that he's, in a sense, drawing you into his own passion to live it out in your own life. Because, Paul said, that he rejoices in suffering because he's making up what's lacking in the sufferings of Christ. And it sounds a little blasphemous, making up what's lacking in the suffering. What he's getting at is that Jesus didn't suffer so we wouldn't have to suffer. He suffered so we'd know how to suffer. And he continues his redemption in his suffering body, which is your cancer, your unemployment, your alcoholic spouse, your difficult kids. Like, every form of human suffering joined to the cross takes on the very power of the cross. Like, Jesus Christ did not save anybody on the Beatitudes. He didn't save anyone by his sermons. He only saved us by his passion, death, and resurrection. And in the same means, redemptive human suffering is the most powerful means of evangelization. Not great speakers, not great talks, great books, great CDs. No, it's suffering offered up with love, according to St. Therese, has converted more people than all the sermons.
That's so beautifully said. And, as you're talking about that, I want to encourage everyone watching, if you don't put on conferences, go to your parish that you go to, and literally go to Jason's website and bring him to your parish. He is, from what I've seen, myself personally and everyone else would say, he's just an incredible speaker. A little bit of a segment of what you get there with what you just said, Jason. Jason, with as we're ending this, what footprint would you want your organization? You have the Chastity Project. You've written 10 books, I believe, around there. Forgive me if I've missed a couple. What is the actual footprint? What is your hope in your life when you leave this world? What do you hope that all the work that you've done, that your organization can achieve?
Yeah, I think it's not so much that people will be, blessed with a pure heart, they shall see God. I was reflecting that there's really only one thing that God the Father asks anybody to do in the whole New Testament, and that's, this is my beloved son, listen to him. That's the only thing God the Father tells us to do in the whole New Testament. And so I think if we do anything, it'd be great if we could just help people hear his voice, because what he has to say to them is infinitely more important than what I have to say to them. But if I can open up that doorway of communication between them and the Father, then they're going to be able to do far better things than they could ever do by simply listening to me or some other motivational speaker. And so if there's any footprint we leave out there, we want to save as many unborn babies as we can and help people grow in purity and break free from porn. But at the end of the day, it's about listening to the voice of the Father and having the confidence to trust him with every part of our lives, including our sexuality.
Jason Evert, thank you so much for the work that you do, the hearing God's call and taking such an unconventional way of life. When you look at the average guy where they're out doing way different things, which makes it so interesting. Personally, thank you for your message that inspired my sister, which then led to me getting involved with what I now love is the organization, the CatholicSpeakers.com, and working with people like yourself. So thanks so much for being with us tonight and offering your words of inspiration.
Well, it's a blessing to be on, and I would just ask your listeners, please pray for our ministry, our family, and then if you want more content, you go to Chastity.com, and you can tune in right there to our new podcast we launched called Love is Greater Than Lust. And so you can just keep in touch with us through Chastity.com. All our social media is there, but please pray for us and our family and know that we're praying for you as well.
We definitely will. And if you're just joining us or joined us at the end here, this conversation will be posted on inspireWord.com. Go to inspireWord.com, sign up for the mailing list, share this video with Jason and his amazing message he shared tonight with all your friends and family. Again, Jason, God bless you. God bless you for your ministry. And we hope to have you on again soon.
Thanks for having me on. God bless. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.